Oh my gosh. Hello, hello everyone. Hello, fellow patriots. Hello, friends. Welcome, welcome in. Davos. That's what's going on today. This is where this is all starting. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that. Oh my God, a scary place X. After Bruce and I spent Friday talking about how much we love X and how it's become such a beautiful place these days. These people are telling you how scary it is. Boy, hey, so we get started here, I just want to share a quick story with you. I saw a video on the weekend. There was an African guy, big guy, and he was really upset. And he was cursing up a storm. He was in the Midwest somewhere where it's snowing. And he was really pissed off. And he was yelling that you Americans lied to me. This is not what you told me it was going to be. This is horrible. I hate it here. I want to go back to Africa. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. How are you going to get there? There are no convoys. There are no free flights, right? There are no buses. And if you go back to Mexico, they're going to arrest you. You can't go. The border's one way. You don't go back into Mexico. Kind of interesting. These people who have come in, their pawns, are now literally prisoners in our country. Can you believe that? It's just crazy to think about that. Anyway, let's get started. Let's bring in my beautiful co-host, Mr. Lewis Herms. How are you today, my friend?
Beautiful. Thank you.
It's all me. It's all me all the time.
I'm fantastic. Wow. That was an incredible video. And that short video that you started with, I had to take a bunch of notes. So we all know Davos is in Switzerland, and Switzerland is where all evil resides in the end days. And if you've ever watched this show before, you've probably heard us talk about all roads lead back to Switzerland. And yes, we got heat on it 3 or 4 years ago. People thought we were crazy. What do you know? And now everybody's taking a deep breath and go, oh, maybe they had something there after all. So we're going to see it all lead back to Switzerland. But here's what's interesting. So what these knuckleheads said is X is toxic. Interesting. So they're setting it up. They've given up on X. Well, like that really matters to us that these world so-called leaders have given up on X. These elites that think they're better than us have given up on X. But it's interesting, though, she slipped in, which is really what they're going to try to do, is the code of conduct sentence. She says they need a code of conduct, right? Because there's so much power, this is her words, on social media. So what they're doing and is they're freaking out because now they cannot ever again control the message. As long as there's an X and a Rumble and a Truth Social, they cannot control the message anymore. Yep. And they're freaking out because they need to control the message. So we're going to see a lot of this, and it's all going to come down to what they call is protecting us via regulation. So I'm so glad you played that because it's that's near and dear to my heart of what the last ditch efforts, and I do think this is the end game for them, is if they can't get, if they can't get a civil war in the United States, then we just have to somehow control the message, right? It's none of it's working for them.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute with the Noor bin Laden clips. We have 4 clips from her, and the things she was talking about there is the number one threat to society and civilization as we know it is
freedom of speech.
Misinformation, disinformation, that's what's on top of their agenda.
Right.
So they need to control the messaging, and clearly they're losing control of it because they lost X, which was Twitter. That is a big, big, big platform. That was literally, we talked about this on Friday a little bit, what this platform really is. It was you want to get a pulse of what's going on in the world, that's where you went. Why? Because it's so simple and so quick to post things. 160 characters, bam, you got to post up. Bang, you got to post up. And it was happening, and so many individuals became journalists, unwittingly became journalists in that situation. It was real time what was happening around the world. And, to lose control of that, they're still smarting. That still hurts. Now, there was a propaganda piece that was put out today, and they said, well, what's really going on, and I think Fulford had published this in his newsletter. He said what's really going on is some people are saying that what they want is they want to expose all the patriots, take our names and numbers, and they're seeing what we're posting on X, and they're making a list. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know where you got that piece of information from. it's
Yeah, they've already got all our information.
yeah,
It's laughable that people actually believe that they don't have it already.
yeah,
They've already got it.
yeah.
So that's just, and I like Ben stuff, but that's fear porn right there.
Yeah, it wasn't his. It was he said he's been hearing that kind of rumor, and I'm like, yeah, not
Mm.
buying it either. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What do you think about the illegals actually being prisoners here in this country? What do you think about that idea?
Are you referencing the Adams proposal or?
No, I'm just referencing that little rant I did at the beginning of the show.
Oh yeah, like because they're hating life here. It's not what we promised them.
It's not what we
Right?
promised them. Yeah,
Well, think about that mentality. So you're already entitled that you're coming here expecting that we're going to take care of you,
right.
right? So therefore, if if it is not exactly as it was proposed to you or your perception is, now you're going to lash out. And it's interesting because I likened this to a guy I talked to years ago, and he actually mentors chiropractors and naturopaths around the country now around the world, extraordinarily successful. And what he learned in his own practice probably 30, 40 years ago is when he gave his employees everything they wanted all the time, he could get no production out of them whatsoever. They didn't even look up to him. They disrespected him. They took days off that they didn't need to take off. They used their phones or their cell phones all the time while they were working. So what he ended up doing is firing his whole staff, starting anew, right? And he actually set down ground rules and expectations. Now he was still friendly, fair, and he paid well. But when it came time, one of the ladies had a death in the family, and she goes, I don't know how am I going to handle this. Can I have some time off? And he said, you can not only have some time off, I will pay some vacation days for you so you can spend some time with your family. And she was over the moon,
Wow.
just screaming at the top of her lungs how he was so wonderful, so on and so forth. He did less for her than he used to do for all of his employees previously. But what happened is he set a standard. So the standard that we're setting right now in the United States is this is utopia. Come over here. We're going to pay for everything and everything's perfect. So what happens when it's not, they lash out and it's now our fault, which is interesting
Well, they
psychologically,
can't
of
go
course.
back now. This is what is the interesting piece is there's nowhere for them to go. They haven't got the money. There are no more free flights, no more free bus tours, no more convoys, right, bringing them up. So they can't go back to Mexico. Mexico doesn't want them. That's why Mexico was paying to finish the wall in certain areas because they didn't want the migrants coming back because they knew that would happen. It would backflush at some point, and they said, no, we don't want that. So now what happens to them?
Yeah, it's a great question,
I don't
isn't
know.
it?
Lisa's saying Rumble is all buggered up today.
But it's looking good on my end.
Yeah, it's looking good here. I'm not sure.
Nobody's complaining in chat.
Rumble, grow pains, you know. Some days we have good days, some days not so much. But it seems to be okay today.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know where to go. We're going to go with that. Hey, go to screwbiggov.com. That's where you want to go. You want to keep on top of what's happening in Lewis's world. That's where you go. Screwbiggov.com. You can get the swag there, the great sweatshirts and the beautiful, beautiful embroidered jacket. Also, follow Lewis on social media. Sometimes hard to find him, but that link will take you exactly where you need to go. That little social media link in the bottom right-hand corner there. All right, my friend, let's get into today's news. This was kind of interesting. I don't know if it's a com or not, but Donald Trump showed up at the Iowa caucus wearing a,
White hat. Yes.
ooh, what do you think?
Interesting, isn't
He
it?
always wears a red hat, and today he showed up in a white hat.
Yes. He's been hinting on for a long time that there may be a bigger picture. And maybe it's not what everybody thinks. And I think we're going to get more clues to this in what they call comms in the coming days and weeks for sure.
We were at breakfast on Sunday morning, and the person who served us, her name was simply Q. That's all it was, just Q. And she's from Long Island. I'm like, can it get any more perfect than this? I had her laughing pretty much when I said that. It's like, you're Q and you're from Long Island. It doesn't get any better than this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, he's dropping communications for sure. He's dropping comms on us, letting us know what's really going on and or maybe even more importantly, what's coming. I know we're playing the Iowa caucus as if the election's going to happen in 2024. There, we did a little survey, impromptu survey on our show on Friday, and we asked everyone in the chat room, do you think there'll be a 2024 election? It was almost 100% no. Everyone's sort of feeling the same way. It's like, how could we get there? The way this road is just so bumpy and so disastrous. And it's kind of interesting because we've already started with the Iowa caucuses today. And within the first hour, there's already breaking news. Fraud in operation underway in Iowa caucuses, where in the DNC, Haley and DeSantis campaigns have attempted to bribe and solicit them to caucus for DeSantis and Haley for up to $100 per voter tonight. And then a little bit later, he posted another one. Poll workers for tonight's Iowa caucuses are reportedly being asked which candidate they're supporting, with pro-Trump election workers being quietly asked to go home or remove their Trump gear by Iowa Secretary of State Pate's office. Appearance? Interesting. Starting already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And there's and it either is part of the movie or it shows how stupid they are, because there's no way Trump's going to lose the caucus in any state. He's going to win it in all 50 states. I mean, hands down, that's not going to be an issue whatsoever.
Well, it's a caucus in Iowa, and I think other states it's actual primary. It's an actual vote.
It's a primary, right? But my point is, he's going to win in every single state,
I agree.
whether it's a caucus or a primary. So what happens is, why are they spending so much intellectual resource on trying to deny him this vote, unless
America, here it comes.
Maybe it is a part of the movie, right? To expose these fools.
They have to prop up candidate number 2, and that's probably going to be Nikki Haley, because the attempt to remove Trump is going to accelerate, I believe. They're going to get him off the ballot. They're going to arrest him. They're going to whatever they're going to do to stop him. And then candidate number 2 can't be at 2%, 3%. They've got to be at least, justifiable that they can install them. Remember, you said it yourself. The primaries are the most important, more so than the general, because they got to put their candidate up.
That's where the general election for we the people, let's be clear about that.
Right.
The general election for we the people is won or lost in the primaries.
Yep.
Because what happens is all the deep state does is they work very hard on getting a rhino to win the Republican nominee in the primary. That's their focus. That's where all their money goes. You don't see it go to the Democrats there. You don't see it go to the other Republicans. You see it always go to the rhino Republican. And the reason why is because they know if they have the Democrat and the rhino running against each other, they already won the race. And until people grasp that, our focus is going to be in the wrong place. And we manifest an R traditionally in the general election, that R is already a bad guy. Yeah. The worst, in fact. Yeah. In fact, our guest that's coming on in about 13 minutes, she had a run-in with one of those that she'll talk about for a couple of minutes.
She knows it well, firsthand. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to dig into a little bit more of what we've got going on here. Already there, we talked about that. Well, what's going on overseas in Berlin? This is an interesting story. It's getting bigger. The protest is actually growing. And they have numbers now, which is they didn't have before. They tried to limit them apparently to only 10,000. The government said, you're a good protest, but you can only have 10,000 vehicles in there. Well, they're way beyond that already. Monday is the biggest day yet. This is from Breitbart. For German anti-government protesters, thousands of tractors and now truckers are expected in Berlin. And they're there. They were coming in overnight, all night long. They were seeing reports of that. At least 3,200 tractors are already in Berlin. This was earlier this morning. More on their way. But police say they'll only permit 5,000 to take part and have set up parking areas for thousands of vehicles in the city. But they're saying the reports on the ground are saying there's significantly more than 10,000 right now. And the tractor areas are already full. They were already full early in the morning. Boosting the protesters' size is the fact that farmers, which have been shutting down major roads for the past week of a long-lasting protest, the government coalition, have been joined in solidarity by truckers. And you saw some videos yesterday. The fire department is really in support. They were driving by and the firemen were out there waving to them. They had their sirens on. They were flashing them. It's getting big. And it's a cool thing to see, I think, because you want to see we the people fighting back, right? And I think that's what we're starting to see here.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So screw Big Gov is on fire, and we the people are absolutely fighting back at levels never seen before. I would actually challenge our audience to find a narrative or a message that's put out since January 1st, within the last 2 weeks, that hasn't been a positive message for we the people. We are crushing the narrative on every level. Even in mainstream media, they can't get around it. They try it, they just get beat down so quickly. This is a beautiful time, and I hope people really embrace it and enjoy the journey, not just the destination. Because right now, the transition to greatness is in full effect. And we are absolutely winning this on an informational level right now. And there's nothing. Look at the panic that you showed in the lady from Davos at the beginning, and I know you're going to show more. They are apoplectic. They do not know what to do right now.
They don't. And one thing that we have to keep in mind here is that the propaganda war is also accelerating. And there's a lot of stuff. I was running into probably more today than I've seen in a long time, stuff that's not true. There was a video, for instance, of a U.S. cargo ship being hit by a missile. And then you look a couple of posts down and somebody says, oh, that was from 2021. That wasn't from right now, right? And you're starting to see a lot of that. And they're planting stories kind of in our path, so we'll find them, that aren't true. And it was a little bit harder today to navigate because there was a lot of stuff I came across that just wasn't accurate. So the propaganda war is certainly accelerating. Here we are trying to come up with the truth, trying to figure out what's really going on. They are, like you said, more and more upset that this, what they call us disinformation. We're not. They're upset that we're having this traction. They don't want us to have this traction, which, brings me to, I wonder if that's why Rumble's having problems. Are they being attacked? I mean, the CEO said they're being attacked daily. I wonder if those attacks have gone up. I haven't heard anything, but it would be interesting to know.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's likely, actually, just based on what the chat is saying right now. If they're trying to watch it on their TV, Rumble is not working. So it's not loading. Yeah, it's interesting, but the messaging, you're right. We kind of warned about this a while ago, that what they're going to do is they're going to put out a lot of false messages that they already know they can prove wrong. And then when what we call patriots grab them and repost them after it gets traction, then they'll debunk it, because you're not debunking that one message. What you're doing is you're debunking the respect you have for that patriot that put it out.
Yeah.
So then they understand that people are like, oh, well, is this one real? How do we know we can trust this anymore? So that's why we need to be responsible. And we, as in we the people, and especially these podcasters, need to be absolutely deeply responsible to make sure that they're giving the truth out there.
I'm less inclined, Lewis, to unfollow some of these truthers when they make that mistake, because it's easy to be fooled, and everyone can be fooled. That's just the reality of it. And so you got to take a deep breath sometimes and say, okay, if they don't come back and correct it, even after they know that they've been duped, that's a red flag. But for the most
part, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
By the way, everybody makes mistakes.
Right.
How do they handle the mistake when they make it?
Right.
Do they take ownership of it? Do they try to be better in the future? If they clearly don't, because they got so many clicks out of it in the first place, then that should be a red flag for who you're dealing with.
Yeah. And you're seeing a lot of people who rose to kind of immediate fame during the 2020, 2021, all that time. There's names that are gone. You don't hear from them anymore because they played that game. They went for the click. and they lost the credibility. And I think the credibility is much more important than the click,
Yeah,
personally. Yeah.
I agree.
So this is a quote from Fulford's report today. This is why the KM leadership, Kazarian Mafia leadership, gathering in Davos, Switzerland this week says their theme is rebuilding trust. Translation: how do we avoid being strung up from lampposts? Yeah, how are you going to
Well,
rebuild trust in Davos and in WEF
well,
and WHO and after everything that we've seen from these people?
but isn't it interesting? Not us. They are saying that the theme is to rebuild trust.
Yep,
Well, then, so they're in admission that they lost trust. So
yep,
you reverse engineer that. Why did they lose trust? Because they've misled, lied, and trying to control us for their own selfish need for 1,000 years. But let's just go for 100 years for right now. So to just swallow that narrative and like, oh, they lost trust, they're trying to rebuild it is what most people will do. But that's when we should take a deep breath and go, wait, wait, wait. Why did they lose
right.
trust? And this is how we can work with the normies and say, did you know that in Davos, where they make all the rules, they said they lost the trust of the people? They're concerned about X, they're concerned about this. Aha. Why do you think that is? Why would they have lost trust? Because they didn't perform.
Yep, exactly right. So this morning, Noor bin Laden was on Bannon's show, and she's reporting directly from Davos. And I've got four short clips here I wanted to share. And I want you on this first clip to look at the sign that is behind her. That's their sign that they put up behind her. And it's very telling. So
Well, I
public-private
don't,
partnership,
yeah, well, NGOs,
NGOs. Yeah.
non-government agencies, and selected officials, not elected officials. And
And
they're
corporations. This is the big one, is the corporations
it's
are
because we're in a
doing this.
corpocracy. I think where she may have gotten it wrong is she says it's pretty much she's indicating after they're seeing certain things not working, then they go to the corporations, have them do the dirty work for us. That was the plan from the beginning. Okay. This is not an accident. The Biden administration has no teeth whatsoever in regards to mandates. But when they scream mandates on television, the corporations pick up that dog whistle and they go, "We got it, Joe," and they do it. So her message is great. I just think it's actually it was the plan from the beginning, and it's all about the corpocracy, as I call it. I don't call it a corporatocracy because there's no need for that extra syllable. It's a corpocracy. People get what I mean.
Well, yeah. And how quickly did Apple, Google, and other companies come up with apps that went right into the smartphone to do that? That's when they go
Exactly
to the
right.
corporation. They say, we need this. We need to enforce it. You need to create this. And
Right.
that wasn't created overnight. That was in the works. I think Naomi Wolf had said that. She said that's been in the works for years.
Always been in the
Yeah.
works. The corporations are purely a tool for the establishment.
Yeah.
That's all they are. And now there's we like to do live corrections here. So we have two corrections in a chat. Um, I I I said Lady Gaga. I've been corrected. It's Lady Guy Guy and Lady Gag Gag. So
Gag, gag.
I apologize. I was incorrect.
Gotta love the chat room. These guys are great. I can't get enough of my chat room. Oh boy. So,
System.
so that kind of fits us. We're kind of in that category of the people they hate the most, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
imagine us being a sovereign individual, owning our own land, growing our own crops, and doing everything wonderful for us, our families, and our communities. And somebody marches in and says, "We can do it better. We're going to show you and tell you how to do things the way we want them to because it's your best interest." We say, "Are you saying get the hell out of my land?"
Get out of here.
Before you know what I mean?
Literally.
We wouldn't accept it,
Yeah.
but yet
Yeah.
we do, as a society as a whole. When these creepazoids, they call themselves elites, which they're actually below. They're below the belly of a
Hey,
snake.
come on. They're paying $2,500 a night for hookers. Come on.
Yeah, I guess they are elite. Now those are some good hookers. I mean that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, but
Overpriced, huh?
yeah, well, I think $1 is overpriced for a hooker. That's my opinion. That they can keep that profession. But the point that I'm trying to make is these so-called elites, we have willingly, and we have to take accountability of this as a society, had willingly let them control everything to the way they want to, brought it to where it is this taxation without representation. I mean, come on. It's
Very true.
ridiculous.
Very true. And we're waking up as a society, and I'm seeing it more and more. So I was sitting in the restaurant yesterday. We had to sit at the bar because there was no tables. We didn't want to wait an hour to eat breakfast. It was like, so we'll sit at the bar at this golf club, and this guy comes up and he sits next to me. And what do? We start up a conversation. I go immediately into politics. How do you like Newsom? Not knowing where this guy is, not knowing anything about him. And we got into this great conversation. And he's like, I can't believe he's in there, blah, blah, blah. And, you immediately find that you're on the same page with people. And I said, how often do you talk politics with anybody? He says, oh, I never talk politics. This is the first conversation I've had in years. And I said, that's the problem. I said, that's the problem. Too many people are silent. Well, we're the silent majority. Screw that. Now we can't be silent anymore. Now we've got to step up, because what you realize is more and more people are on our side. They're just afraid to speak up because what? The other side is more vocal,
Yes, exactly.
right? That's all it is. They're just more vocal. Who cares? Let them scream. Let them shout. Doesn't matter. This is my
What if
authenticity. This is where I live. I live here now, and I'm taking ownership of it.
the silent majority was a psyop, y'all? What
Yeah.
if you were convinced that you're the silent majority, so you stay silent? What if you're taught that in church that meek means docile and quiet? What if that was all a psyop? What if it was all a lie? It is. It is.
Yep.
Meek means strong. Meek means one that takes care of others. The majority does not need to be silent. You are convinced and psyoped and propagandized to be silent as if it's disrespectful to do otherwise. And these are the lessons I think Trump is really trying to teach people. And I believe they're starting to catch on. Slowly, but they're catching on.
Four-letter word that begins with the letter F. Fear. Right? When you have fear about speaking up, because you might be getting into an argument with someone, somebody might not agree with you, natural inclination is to stay silent. I'd love to run into a Democrat and have an honest conversation with them. I do that all the time. It's fine. They don't beat me up. I don't beat them up. I'm not disrespectful. I'll hear them out. They're wrong, but yeah, I'll hear them out. It's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And basically all you do is ask questions. You don't even have to say anything. You just ask them questions. Why do you believe what you believe? Why do you think Newsom's a great governor? Why do you think Biden's doing a great job? Questions they can't answer. The conversation ends pretty quickly.
Yep.
Anyway, the last
Right.
clip from Nor bin Laden is just really about the number one risk, which is misinformation, disinformation, and how they're spending all their resources and energy to combat that. And that's really the whole goal of this whole Davos meeting this week, is finding ways of doing that. And what is a little spooky about the clip we played right at the front is they understand the power of social media. So the question then becomes, are they going to go after social media in a way that they will lock it down as they have done in other countries? We got to make sure that doesn't happen, right?
Well, it's pretty easy if you have the conversations with the normies like this. So, a private jet that travels from the United States to Davos, Switzerland, burns up enough fuel and adds enough carbon deposits, that's the way they like to say it,
Right.
to the environment that a family of five would do in a complete month, driving multiple cars, burning all the fuel that they're doing, and so on and so forth. So how many private jets flew into Davos?
I don't know, but a lot.
I think it was over 1,000 from what I heard.
Whoa.
Can you imagine the carbon footprint that has? Because they don't care. And that's the type of conversation you can have with the normie. I think sometimes we get too sophisticated. And if you just go to the nitty gritty and just go, look at this, does that even make sense to you? Why on earth would they do that?
Yeah.
Right? And their egos won't allow them to fly on a jet with 30 of them or 40 or 50 of them or 100 of them, right? It's got to just be two or three of them on a jet that can carry 16, by the way. So it's very, very interesting. But these are easy conversations to have. We just need to know how to have them. And that's what we do with Remember Your Oath and Freedom in Action. So we're going to update those sites really quick soon, guys, and you're going to see the actual lessons that are being taught and how to have these conversations. And by the way, while you're here, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and share. We appreciate it. It helps us with these crazy algorithms we deal with.
Part of our community for sure. No question. All right. We have a lovely lady hanging out in the back here, watching us put the show together, watching me sweat bullets. No, we're doing well today. Not so challenging today. Shall we bring on Leslie?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is Leslie Shepard. So for the few of you that may not know, we defer to her a lot as an example of how to fight with inside your communities and make a huge difference. So Leslie's going to tell us a short story that she had, I believe it was over this weekend, and then we may ask her a couple questions. But guys, you're going to love this segment because I kind of already know what she's going to say. It's pretty interesting. How are you, Leslie?
Leslie, you're muted.
You are muted. You're muted.
I can't unmute her. I can ask her to unmute.
You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry.
There we go. Rewind.
Just a real quick, Robert, I didn't see any bullets coming down sweating. I saw two men that are patriotic doing a great job leading the way. That's all I saw.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you, Leslie.
Absolutely.
So, Leslie, what happened? What were you doing? Where were your friends the last few days?
Well, we had a big event that happened on Saturday this week, something that is going to change the face of our nation, because what we did is we did a hand count at the MCRC meeting, and there was about approximately 3,000 PCs there, which means we had 3 rounds of voting of 3,000 votes in different settings, and we put them through. It was so accurate. It was so precise.
Explain for the people that don't understand what a PC is, please.
Oh, a precinct committeeman is what you have in different parties that kind of represent the voters within their sphere of neighborhood.
And 3,000 just within the state of Arizona, correct?
Yes.
All came to this event.
Yes.
Okay.
And then so we had 3 rounds of voting, which means 3 different times those of us who were part of the voting teams went up and we had our positions, whether you're a tallier, a quality control person, or a person that actually called out the whatever it was, and you just read it and just kept going. And we had like blue lights that made it very clear that that paper was a legitimate ballot. So it was just a whole different ball game. And they videotaped this, and they're going to turn it into a video, and they're going to send it out throughout the United States so that we can see this absolutely can be done. It's cheaper. It's a lot more accurate because you know what's going on with your ballot other than some machines. So that's the key thing, is that it was, and just to be clear, you know, Robert was talking about when he goes and talks with Democrats. My big thing is going to talk to Republicans.
Yep.
And that's
before I get to that, let's continue with this other story really quick.
Sure.
So you had 3,000 people voted, correct?
Yes.
How many people?
Approximately.
Of course. How many people counted?
There was 24 teams. The teams were with 5 people at a table. Oh, excuse me, 4 people at a table. You had 2 people that were the talliers, and they had to confirm theirs matching before we went on to the next ballot. The other one was the quality control. They're the person that made sure that was a legitimate ballot. Right. They handed over to the caller. The caller then called out, you know, what numbers were on that ballot, which then went to the talliers, who then at the very end of each batch, the talliers would confirm their numbers lined up. If they did not, we corrected whatever it was right there on the spot.
Excellent. And how long did one vote of 3,000 take to count?
Well, it was amazing. They were all shocked. We knew it by lunchtime who won the overall the people that were running for positions. We knew that by lunchtime, and we didn't start it for it took us less than probably an hour, hour and a half to do all the counting.
Right. And that's what I wanted to get to, because I think it's very important that people understand this is not a monumental task.
No.
It's a very organized task, which is very important. And in essence, there was really only 24 counters because the other ones were sub counters and then verifiers. I mean, to put it in layman's terms, and they could easily go through 3,000 ballots in an hour and a half. So I think that's great news. And the fact that there's an example in a video coming out, I think is amazing, because here's what we can use this, folks, for. We take these individual videos all throughout our states. That's the beauty of what they did here. Remember, where Arizona goes, the United States goes. But we take these videos throughout all the other states, and we show this as an example. Now, it's not always going to work in your favor, but you know what? If they reject it, now you have a legitimate conversation of why would they do that?
That's right.
And it's time to hold their feet to the fire. So I just wanted to cover that, and then we'll get on to. So Leslie, you had an opportunity to talk to somebody that claims she is doing her best for the election, quote, integrity process. And I can't stand that term, but let's just go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really fortunate. I had actually a few good conversations with different legislatures. And one of them was Miss Wendy Rogers. Wendy Rogers, at the very end of all of the election part of it, came upstairs where this was at and was like peeking in. Well, I tend to gravitate to people like that. And I went straight over to her, and I stood there for a second. She looked at me, her little face started twitching. She knows who I am. And then I said, so Miss Rogers, I said, did you happen to see the show with Louis Herm and Michelle Swinnick when they literally went through the documentation that she was able to retrieve from the actual election itself that proves that Abe Habedin is the attorney general? And she looks at me and she goes, I've already told you this before. I cannot do an investigation. I said, actually, you can. I said, the Masons legislature manual lets us know that not only you can, but the House of Representatives can. So absolutely you can. I said, and this is a lady who does not get paid, and she does not ask for donations to find out where the committee, and you are the person I should be going to. So she turned around to me. She squared off. You could tell this was one in which she's getting a witness. She turned and she said, I'm letting you know right now, you stop approaching me. And I said, and I'll let you know right now, you stop telling your employer to stop approaching you. I said, we the people are your employer. You are the servants. You are here to do our bidding. And you are not following the law. And you are not following the way you're supposed to do things. And if you don't like it, you can get out of that position. But if you stay there, you expect to be held accountable, because that is our job. And then the person stepped in between. It wasn't rowdy, because, you kept it low. You don't have to be aggressive, but you can be so assertive with them. They don't know what to do with themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, her jaw dropped open here. She thought she had her, I'm letting you know, don't approach me. And I let her know, and I'm your employer, and don't you talk to me like that. So it kind of really shocked her. And then the person kind of ran a little interference, talked with me a little bit. And she slinked off. And this is the thing I want to really encourage people to understand. What someone did in the past is not what you look at today. The fruit of their life today is what determines them today. Because you know what? King Solomon in the Bible was given wisdom and all this other stuff. He was known for all these grandeur things and how wise he was. But you know what? It was his disobedience later in life is the reason that the tribes had to be broken up. So I say that because sometimes people get so stuck on this person is in the Air Force. She's great. That's what I thought. That's how I got pulled in. But then when you start noticing that there's blatant evidence and you start noticing there's incredible compromise, sometimes you just have to go, this is too painful, but I have to look at it for what it is. And the Constitution has got to be the standard, not a party. When we make a party, the focus, we get what we have today. People did not look at all the crooked officials that came ahead of time. They looked at, well, what party is it? I support my party. And that needs to go away.
Yes, absolutely. So before you go, I want to just bring up a couple things. This is not the first time you've been called crazy
No,
by an elected official. Is
no,
that right?
absolutely correct.
And isn't that interesting? So instead of being held accountable or listening to their employer, which is we the people, to me, they collude and they get together and say, we're going to label this one as crazy
Mhm,
because we can't handle this. We can't
mhm.
handle her. She is too on point and gets us in trouble. Therefore, we need to label her crazy and make her look publicly like she's a stalker of some sort. So then we can escort her out, or at least if the information permeates into the public, we've already got a label on her. So
Yes,
this is why they do that, folks. That is why they label the crazy. This is all calculated. It's all intentional. Now, where do we spend our resources? And probably the main reason why I asked Leslie to come on today, and thank you, Robert, for opening up the time slot for that. And the reason
thank you,
why I did
Robert.
this is because where do we spend our emotional and time resources on? You don't spend it on yelling at the Democrats. That's not going to do you any good. They're going to laugh at you. You don't even spend it at the blatant crazy rhinos like Chris Christie or somebody like that. You don't, or the Romneys, right? Or the Lindsey Grahams, the crazies like that. You don't spend it with them. Do not spend your resources on them. Do not worry about the repost. Don't do not. You're going to get zero nowhere. Where you need to spend your resources of time and energy are on the ones that are claiming they are doing the job for you correctly, and they're not. Or even if they are, those are ones need to be held accountable. 100%. So what happens is we spread our resources so thin, our emotional resources, and we complain and talk to everybody that's not going to make any change whatsoever. Where you're going to make a difference is holding the ones accountable that claim they are fighting for you. Okay,
Yes,
great. We're going to make you prove that now
yes,
or get out. So
yes,
you'll either get them to comply with us, we the people, or they will move on. I'm just trying to help you folks out. You can put all your resources into talking to the correct people with the correct messaging. We're going to be a lot more effective in coming forward. Remember your oath and freedom in action. These are the
yes,
things that we're going to be teaching so people could really, really make a difference and make it efficient.
yes. Just real quick, Lewis, if I can say in your chat, in the Screw Big Gov chat, I sent the little quick video of us getting kicked out and that guy doing what he does and seeing that he wanted things to get aggressive. But I want to mention that there's one with Adrian Fontes. It's a recent interview, and it's important because it ties into what you guys were talking about earlier, false flags. They're already prepping us that there's going to be people that look like them that are doing certain things that there's really realizing AI is going to be getting involved. And I thought, you're only announcing what you're going to be doing. And
Yes.
then he said what they're going to do to people who want to cause disruption and confusion with this election, so-called denying stuff. So FYI, go take a look. You have to jump to the 5-minute mark. Anyone who's watching, it's on the chat. And you'll be amazed at how they're already prepping for us.
Awesome. And Leslie's referring to my Telegram chat, Screw Big Gov chat. Thank you, Leslie. We appreciate everything you do. This is awesome. Guys, we're going to continue to bring warriors and patriots on here that are leading by example so they can teach us of how to do things right. Thanks, Leslie. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Leslie. That was great. It's so wonderful and so refreshing to see people standing up, and she's there, right in front of their faces, and she's not getting beat up. She's not getting thrown in prison, which is the fear, right? It's what January 6th really propagated on all of us. Remember, they control us through fear. So what happened on January 6th? 2 million people showed up, and about 1,000 of them got arrested. But that fear rippled through, and there's been nothing more since then. There's no protests, there's no gatherings, there's been nothing. And now we see the pro Palestinian protests at the White House over the weekend. Nobody got arrested. Telling you.
Yep.
Telling you. Guys, we can do this. We can do this.
You're 100% right, Robert.
All right. Look at these ladies. Oh, look at this lady. This is a before and after photo. What do you think she did? How about this one?
I'd say Neumi skin.
Ooh, look at this. Lori stated, I swish and spray twice a day, 65 and just getting better. So look at her January 20th, look at her in May, and then look at her in August. Hard to tell it's the same woman.
That's very cool,
That is,
actually. I don't think I've even seen that one.
they're unreal how, this Neumi spray works so well for people. I got it. I still use it. You use it too,
Thanks,
Lewis?
Robert.
Oh, there you go.
It's
Oh,
also
yeah.
refreshing. Also refreshing, let me tell you.
It's refreshing after having to go through Davos and all the nonsense that we have to deal with, right? So
We
it's
need to
very
cleanse
refreshing.
ourselves. Cleanse ourselves from Davos.
We really do. We want to have fresh and pure skin and look great. Now, a lot of what ladies are saying that they're with regular use, they're not using makeup anymore because it's firming their skin, it's lightening their skin, it's minimizing dark spots and all the things that they would normally use makeup to cover up for. This is a nanoparticle glutathione spray, and glutathione, is a master antioxidant. Well, you can take it internally with the Neumi Swish. Now, if you combine the two, that lady did, you really have you're working on the inside and working on the outside at the same time, which is probably the ultimate solution. The Neumi Hers, just so everyone knows, is out of stock right now, and they've taken it off the site until they get it back in stock. So you can't buy that just at this moment, but really kind of them to do that rather than saying back order, back order, back order. They just said, we're going to take it off for right now. And when they have it back in stock, it's been that popular. It's been really good. So go take a look. If you want to have a quick look at what we've got there, go to renegademedia.tv/energy, renegademedia.tv/energy, or you could scan the QR code that you see there on your screen. Mr. Herms, are we ready for part 2?
We are, but hey, this is a nice lead. And so tomorrow, guys, as you know, on Tuesday and Thursdays, we do our conversations on our roundtables. Tomorrow, we have the lovely Robert Imbraeli, Louis Herms, and Ethan Lucas on, and he's got some powerful information on Ghislaine Maxwell that probably nobody's heard yet, which he's going to reveal tomorrow. And then about halfway through, we have a special guest tomorrow with amazing information. And that's actually Steve Scott, the president of Neumi. And this will not be a sales deal. He's going to bring some phenomenal information about glutathione and where we are going pretty much within the medical industry. And this guy's brilliant. He's written so many books, and he's just absolutely a great guy, God-loving person. So you guys should definitely come there to see that. For sure, and at least for the roundtable. But I would hang in for his short segment because this guy is absolutely brilliant. He's written wonderful, motivating books, spiritual books. Good dude.
He's a serial entrepreneur. He's got a lot of experience, and certainly when he found this product, he said, we need to get this out to more people. So he built a company around this product. And you say, why doesn't the company have a lot of products? Well, focus on one thing and do it well rather than focus on 50 things. I know there are other companies out there that have hundreds and hundreds of products, but how many of them are really great? You got to pick and choose, right? So this company decided, hey, we're going to do one thing and do it right. And they are doing it right. And the results that people are saying are just phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to seeing Mr. Scott tomorrow. I know I've seen him before, but looking forward to seeing what he brings to us because he always brings the heat.
Can I show one more piece of news here? It's
You
very
may.
important for us. I'm going to share screen real quick,
Yep.
guys. So what's on my screen is, y'all heard about the Take Our Border Back convoy? This is a big deal, folks. And it's convoy begins January 29th at several places around the country, and it ends up on February 3rd in 3 locations. One of them, I believe, is changing. It's Eagle Pass, Texas. I believe it's going to go to Yuma, Arizona, and this is for security reasons that we'll explain later, and go to San Diego. Guys, this is going to be a massive convoy. We're getting so many people excited about that. If you want more details, just go to takeourborderback.com, takeourborderback.com. The guys there are doing some really good work. I'm just a kind of a consultant for them, and I may be a spokesperson, but you guys are going to absolutely love this. What a way to meet some great patriots too. So takeourborderback.com.
People always ask that question, Lewis. They say, how do I meet more patriots? Well, you got to get out of the house. You got to get out from behind the computer, turn the computer off for a little while, go out there and meet people face to face. That's the only way to do it. There is no other way. It just isn't. All right. We go from the beautiful Neumi to the beautiful convoy, and now we have to talk about the ugliness. I love it. I love it. This guy knocks it out of the park.
Fair question. Fair question.
Very fair question. Well, here's the thing. We may have gotten all upset when Trump was indicted there in Georgia, and we look at this whole thing. It is completely falling apart. The wheels are falling off this thing. I've never seen a case fall apart faster than this. Now your prosecutors are corrupt.
The best thing that could happen is for this case to have moved forward and fell apart rather than never happen at all.
Yep.
So we always need to look at the bigger picture of what's going on here. The exposure of this corruption is amazing, because the reality is you can have some of the most corrupt cases that go in front of a corrupt judiciary in history, but they're still well put together and they have a chance at winning, right? This is one of the most corrupt cases with some of the most corrupt judiciary in history that has zero chance of winning and was a no-go from the beginning. But it tells you how bad do they want to take Trump down, that they're willing to risk it all on just complete fakery. It didn't work in Congress, Russia, but they think this is going to work, which there's actually more scrutiny because of the way things go on record, and there's an attorney and a counterbalance there. So it's fun to watch.
And Raffensperger is going to get his hands slapped too. Now they're going to remove him as Secretary of State there in Georgia, and they're going to investigate him for his corruption.
Yeah, well, that should go all the way up to the top.
Yeah.
That being said, though, the governor of Georgia, I believe it was her daughter and then he fell in line. So that may be a little bit different deal there. But yet Raffensperger is pretty dirty just on the face of it.
Oh, no question. I mean, and he calls himself a Republican. He's not. I mean, he did not defend Trump at all. He's a never Trumper, a rhino, and as corrupt as the day is long. And it's sort of fascinating to me if you look at Wendy Rogers, the conversation we just had with Leslie. Wendy Rogers posits herself as being, on our side, and she's for us, but they don't do anything. It's all about the ego. It's all about the puffery. It's all about the look rather than the action. And it's like I always say to people, I say, forget about what people say. Look at what they do. That's more telling. And in this case, we look at Raffensperger. It's like, okay, what did he do for us? He did nothing. He did the opposite. He hurt our side more than anything. He allowed this corrupt thing to go through.
Yeah, I would go as far as he ran cover for the bad guys and knew what he was doing.
Yep. So the whole thing is you're right, getting exposed, and this just leads to our thinking that will 2024 really happen if there's this much corruption in the system, a system as complex as we've got for voting? Can we fix it in the 10 months that we have left? 9.5 months, whatever it is that's left here. There's not really that much time to move something that big.
Yeah. I would agree. I still am not seeing a 2024 election though. So we'll see what happens when we get closer. But I know I'm starting to become in the minority because as time goes closer to November of this year, people start to go with the 2024 narrative. But we'll see. Right. We will see.
Well, I think Juan said it right. He says we've got to act right now as if there's going to be a 2024 election, and it's true. You don't want to.
That's a no-brainer.
I'm not suggesting. Yeah.
I always tell people that I'm not suggesting at all to give up on it. We're just making a projection that I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and he was there too. He said he doesn't know that it'll happen either. He's kind of feeling that way. And I think I was listening to SGN this weekend. He put out another one of his files, and he was kind of moving in that same direction. It's like everything seems to be centered around what's going to happen in March. So we'll see. we don't like to call dates, and a lot of these people call dates. People go, oh, well, it didn't happen when you said it was. It's a war, right? Information war. It's a kinetic war now. It's hard to have dates and times, but everyone's sort of pointing now toward March being a tipping point. So we'll see. We can see from January 1st forward. Oh my gosh, there's been so much that's been coming out and flooding us with information. Bam, 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 bam. It's been insane how fast it's been coming out. I sat there yesterday. I was on the computer till about 11 o'clock last night, looking at all the stories that were popping and all the things I wanted to cover. And I put them all in. What happened? What are you doing now? What are you doing there, Lewis?
I'm just pouring me some tea.
Just pouring some tea.
My wife got me this beautiful self-heating teapot to put on my desk. And I'm just pouring some tea. That's it. Just innocent, just tea. I'm pouring tea.
We're going to call it the QT.
Oh, it is. It's cutie, isn't it, cutie?
It's QT. So yeah, I was pulling up all these stories, and I was thinking, okay, I'll cover that. And I got in this morning, and I looked at all the stories I had pulled, and every single one of them, old news. Everything changed. I thought, wow. I thought I was going to get ahead on today. No, it didn't happen. Really had to start from zero again this morning. And the caucuses aren't until later today, so we're going to have that information tomorrow for you. We'll give you the results, which should I do this? Predictive programming? Should I share this predictive programming clip?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, predictive program. They're preparing us. Nobody's going to show up. It's cold outside. They're not going to show up, and you know what? DeSantis could win the caucus tonight.
What I'm loving, besides this BS, is the conflicting narrative that we know we are in record-breaking cold fronts and snow in some places right now. But at the same time, 3 days ago, the United Nations actually posted an edict that 2024 could be the hottest year on record.
Guys, you got to start showing up to the meetings here. I got to get on the same page.
It's hilarious. So what happened is people like myself and other people really started hammering and pushing back, showing how ridiculous this is, that you have one thing saying it's one of the most major cold fronts, and then it's going to be the hottest. So the response is suddenly the articles come out on, USA Today, New York Times, MSNBC, all the Marxist, CIA, DARPA controlled rags. And what are they saying now? They say, no, it's the oceans are hotter than, and therefore that's creating this weird cold and all this freezing and we are just smashing their narrative so quick now.
Yep.
It's so joyful, guys. Live in joy and happiness and have fun with this right now, because they are being destroyed by words and 160 characters. It's hilarious.
We have, and I think we're starting to come around to realizing just how much power we actually do have. And, a lot more people are coming out, a lot less people that are in fear now. They're like, well, if we don't step up now, it's all gone. We're so close to losing it all that if we don't step up at this point, there is no turning back. And we're pretty far down that road. It's going to be a long hoe to get back, but we're going to get there. We'll be able to turn this thing around. It's going to be, a process. And everyone's saying it's like, it's going to be tougher as we go forward before it gets easier. And I think that that's probably the reality of it. And, I tell people, be ready. Be strong, but be flexible. Know that, things aren't going to be a straight line going forward. And, we're looking at that in our world too. And we're seeing things around here that are changing. And I don't know, Newsom coming up with new rules and new laws. It's like the nanny state continues. It's like, when is this ever going to end? When does the interference in your life end?
Yeah. Well, we have to make it end.
Yeah. We have to get to that point where it's
not allowable anymore.
It's not allowable. Exactly. So in New York City, kind of interesting. They are, let's go back here because this is, there we go. My story's a little bit out of order. New York City, they're actually considering curfews at midnight at migrant shelters because panhandling complaints have gone up. Now, I don't understand something here, Lewis.
I know where you're going with this.
They're given money
Yep, I knew.
They have a debit card, $4,000 a month. Why are they panhandling?
And they have a hotel room.
They have a
Well,
hotel room. They get 3 square meals a day, more than the prisoners get. Good
yep,
food, hotel, comfortable. They get their sheets changed. The maid comes in
yep.
and cleans the room. They don't pay for it for 2 years.
That's right.
And they're
And some
panhandling.
places where they're not lucky enough to get a hotel and they get shelter, they still get 3 square meals a day. There's heaters inside the shelters and the tents. They're being taken care of, like waited on. Picture this, right?
Yep.
Hand and foot, educated. They're bringing teachers in there to educate them for the ones that aren't going to and plugging up the school system. It's gross and
Yep.
disgusting how we're bending over backwards, but yet they still need a panhandle. Maybe they're just greedy.
It may be cultural. Maybe that's the way it is where they've come from. Maybe that's what you do. And they haven't quite figured out yet that they don't actually need it because the money's in their pocket. Maybe they don't see the money. Maybe they just see a piece of plastic and they don't understand that that's money. I don't know. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt here. Not working very
Yeah,
well.
well, there is a cultural thing in Central and South America where cash is king,
Hmm.
and I know that because in the construction industry, I used to um, deal with this a lot. So they would rather get paid less in cash than more on a check or a debit card, even though it spends the same. So there is something to say that cash is king. Plus, they're extraordinarily good at trading too and bartering. So if you have a little bit of cash and some goods, you can barter a lot better than if you had none. So maybe
Mm.
that's the reason why they're also great savers and business people too. I mean, I'm just gonna to say it. I know everybody's down on these cultures, and we shouldn't be down on the cultures. We should be down on the policies that's creating the influx
Right.
of the cultures themselves. But the cultures are generally pretty beautiful cultures and have a lot to offer if they come through legally as they should.
We got a lot to learn about all this stuff. Do you feel safe flying anymore?
Well, I always felt safe flying, and
Hmm.
so
It's getting
that
worse. There's more.
and the fact that they're letting um, AI into the computers on the planes themselves, that scares the crap out of me
Yep.
also.
Yep. Well, there's a new report today in Zero Hedge about what the FAA is doing. Oh boy, you're probably never going to fly again after you hear this. FAA is now hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. This is from Zero Hedge. Americans were stunned on Sunday afternoon after Fox News reported the FAA, overseen by Mayor slash Secretary Peter Buttigieg, Transportation Department, rolled out a new diversity and inclusion program to hire people with severe intellectual disability and psychiatric disability, among various other disabilities, just days after the latest midair disaster involving a Boeing 737 MAX heightened the public's attention to the equity and inclusion policies in the skies. I don't know that there are words.
That's interesting because it actually coincides with the report that just came out, which shows that 94% of new hires in the last year were minorities.
Yep,
Only 6% were white people in general.
yep.
And I think that's very interesting because that means a couple things. You definitely it means that they have their diversity, their DEI programs that are in full-fledged going on in the corporate 1,000 companies, which is disgusting. It's not you're not hired on merits. The other thing it could also mean is with this influx of illegals that they're getting these people for less than they normally would pay, so that probably has increased the amount of these so-called diversity hires also. So you combine those two things together.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And I think the reality of what we're seeing now is some corporations are bailing on DEI. They're like, okay, this isn't working for us. And Starbucks is hanging on tight, but they're dropping like a rock as a company. They don't see it yet, but they're I don't know. But there are corporations now that are moving away from it and saying no more. It doesn't work. And that chart that I showed that you were talking about here, this was Elon Musk that posted this, and he said, let's see, discrimination on the basis of anything other than merit is wrong. This is Elon Musk who reposted this today, and you can see there, the white people just got 6% of the jobs since 2020, and people of color got 94% of the jobs.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what he exactly the same article I was reading.
Yep.
So it's interesting because these so-called diversity hires would not happen without the input of CIA, DARPA, Tavistock, our governments, and the media. It wouldn't happen because the corporations would do what corporations historically have done, and it's all based on their productivity and what their output is. What's the best profit margin for them? So if they get more profit by hiring the best people in place, they do that. But because of the construct that's created through CIA, DARPA, Tavistock, infusing that into our media and our government, now they feel pressured because with the color revolution, what happens is people scream at the top of their lungs, the 1% scream at the top of their lungs and scare the crap out of these businesses. Oh, but now let's add on to it, Robert. The corporations are actually part of this whole construct now.
They have to
before they were just influenced and pushed. Now they are a part of it.
Yep.
Think about that. So this is why it's so hard to get around it. They're all part of this plan. Scary.
And then you have BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, right? You have those guys, they're pushing the DEI, but they're owned by who? They're the same people, the same Davos crowd.
That's exactly right.
You know? All right. Boeing CEO assures nervous flyers that all 737 aircraft are built to the highest diversity standards. How does that make you feel about flying? Of course, that's in the Babylon Bee, so not real, but fun just the same. Not merit-based. Oh, you're the right color. Okay, you can quality check this airplane engine to make sure it's going to work. You've never done it before? Don't worry about it. You checks off the box. You're good.
Right. Amazing.
Oh, brother, I don't know what to say about that. This is just kind of crazy. Anyway, talk to me about this photo.
Oh, that guy is sexy. That's my twin brother. His name is Ishmael. And he's got a beautiful jacket on that I gave him with the Screw Big Gov logo, and the Screw Big Gov logo is actually embroidered on there. It's a beautiful gold and white on a black jacket that's waterproof, very, very warm, affordable. Just go to screwbiggov.com, click on swag, and you'll be able to get yours or any other little swag that you would like there.
Show your colors, especially during the upcoming, is it a convoy we're calling it, the border convoy?
That's right.
Take your
border back convoy.
Yeah, take your border back convoy. And it is not San Diego, it's San Ysidro, the border crossing down very south of San Diego, is where they're going to show up.
Yeah, but they're trying to get a location right now.
Okay.
And they have not confirmed San Diego as of yet. So they think they're saying San Diego area. I believe the convoy is going to go to a meeting place at all these particular spots, and then if they choose to go specifically to the border after that, they can.
Cool. Well, it's still a work in progress, right? So get yourself signed up on the what is it, takeourborderback.com?
Yeah, takeourborderback.com, and then you'll get all the updates will be there. And it'll be very easy for you guys to get involved, and it's no price. I mean, if you'd like to donate to them, they're good people. That's great, but it's not costing anything to do this. Just get involved. It's going to cost your own gas money, of course, but I think it'll ultimately be worth it. And they seem that they're starting to get very organized, which I appreciate.
Yeah, something like this is not easy to put on. This is going to come up February 3rd. Is that a Saturday, I believe, on this?
It is.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's coming up on the 3rd of February. Coming up pretty quick, only 2 weeks out or 2.5 weeks out.
Yep, I
Can't
agree.
believe how
Hey,
fast this year's already going. Before you know it, it'll be 2025 and we'll be swearing in Trump. I didn't say that. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We will have on some very special guests, one being SG Anon, confirmed today. So look for that in the coming weeks. And tomorrow we have Ethan Lucas and Steve Scott will be here to talk about glutathione and all the great benefits of having that on your system, on your face, and inside your body, and what it does in your liver, and how it makes your liver do what it needs to do to detox and
right.
deal with oxidative stress. And then,
But let me be clear though. That's not what the show is about
right.
tomorrow. That is an adjunct to the show. So you guys are going to want to be there because there's going to be a huge reveal about Ghislaine Maxwell and some other things in a roundtable discussion, which would be pretty cool.
Oh, cool. I'm looking forward to that. I really got to
And
start showing up to the meetings because I don't get all the points sometimes.
and then Thursday, you were going to say we have some phenomenal guests on Thursday. We're very, very excited
Yep.
about. So if you may or may not be familiar with Don Milton, he's a great guy. He's going to teach us techniques, self-healing techniques, and for the mind, how to break tough patterns and some issues that you may have and you have trouble moving forward, which is great. We're going to have Greg and Jaron from Rise TV on, two great guys. In fact, I really love what they're doing for humanity and trying to make it from a spiritual standpoint, really trying to help people progress in their lives. And I'm actually going to be speaking at one of their events in February next month. But they're going to come on, and we're going to have another roundtable on Thursday with those type of guests. So if you want to get some in touch with yourself and maybe fix some things, get motivated, and some great enlightenment, I think you're going to love Thursday also.
I'm looking forward to that. We've got a lot of good stuff, and we're changing things up a little bit for this year, a little bit, different. And I think we're just looking to see your feedback. So if you got feedback for us, please let us know, just in the chat, in the comments. If you're watching this on replay, we do read the comments, and you certainly could email me, robert@renegademedia.tv. And if you're on Lewis's chat and Telegram, he does respond. So post your comments in there and what you like about the show, what you think we can improve. Certainly give us some feedback, because we want to make this the best that we can be, and we certainly love to raise the bar, and we'll do that. We'll do as much as we can to bring you the best possible show.
Yeah, I would also make sure you go to Robert's Telegram channel. It's very important because he takes clips from these shows and breaks them up in a way that they're very easy to share. So definitely go to his, I believe it's Renegade Media TV on Telegram.
It's
Correct?
Renegade Media on Telegram. Exactly right. Okay. Lewis, thank you so much for playing color commentator today. You did an awesome job. I'll be playing color commentator on Wednesday, and we'll be doing our roundtable tomorrow and Thursday. So look forward to that. And then Friday, we got the great Mr. Poppy. Can't ever
That's
get
right.
too much of him.
That'll be fun. And I'll be on Nicholas Veniamin tomorrow, and might be simulcasting shows on his channel, which would be pretty cool
Oh, that would
too.
be awesome. Yeah,
Yep.
no
And
question.
Carol, inside joke, but this is for you. All right. Have a nice day.